Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got some more ladder action coming your way this afternoon, chaps. Not tip-top pro level, but definitely pro category, so not average Joes. First of all, though, I'd like to send out a quick thank you to all of you guys who dumped likes on FAF's Facebook page yesterday. That helped get us over the 2K mark, which is always nice to make those landmarks and surpass them. So thank you to you guys. Also, incidentally, going out to all you Redditors out there, if you hadn't noticed already, I do always place a link to FAF's official Reddit page beneath this video in the description in each of my videos, so why not head on over there and dump a few likes on that. Patago very kindly places links to all of the casters videos or all of the related video content for FAF onto Reddit, so a little bit of extra promotional work, so thank you to him. But it would really help, guys, if you go on over there and dump a few likes. So even if you don't use Reddit, it only takes a couple of minutes to sign up for an account, so why not? Anyway, on to today's game. Like I say, it's going to be a ladder match, and it's all going to go down on Sentry Point. So let's go over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Now, Sentry Point, one of the absolute core maps as far as I'm aware. I'm not sure if it's vanilla or FA. Answers in the comment section below if you have the answer to that one. It's definitely one of the original FA maps, I know that much, but would be interested to know if it was featured in vanilla, but I couldn't tell you myself because I'm just ignorant. But anyway, let's take a look at the players and their starting locations. Over here in the blue corner, fighting for the ever so noble UEF, we have Silent. He's opening first land and going engineer mech marine, so a little bit of aggression off the early build there from him. Wants to do some harassment with that early lab. And facing off against him in the red corner, the insidious Cyberin Supreme, and he's being a little bit more passive. 3 engineers to start off his initial build routine. Gonna grab that Hydro, get the commander on that, all very standard. And then he's going second air. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a second air out of Silent as well. There's going to be lots of alliteration in this with the S's, Silent and Supreme and Cyberin, even though it's a C, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, onward goes the Mech Marine. Where's he headed? Looking for vulnerable engineers, but immediately runs headfirst into a Mantis, so he's not going to get anything done. Down he goes. Nice early work there from Supreme, guarding his base very efficiently indeed, and heading south with those early Mantis as well. Wants to grab this unused starting position. Always such an unusual map, this Sentry Point, or indeed any map, this 3-player or multiplayer map, odd numbered map, where you're fighting over essentially an extra position that's not being used, in this case down here at the southern tip. But it looks like Supreme's going to do the early work in securing that. At least he's got the offensive forces over there to prevent Silent from getting in with any engineers. He's not currently sending any engineers down, though. I'm wondering if he's just going to be a little bit lazy and get this NG that's currently picking up those mechs is on the way to move through and do it. But those Mantis not hanging about just to guard. They're going to push on through and start doing some work down here in the bottom left-hand corner against Silent's expanding economy. Single engineer down here has been putting together some mechs as he tried to move it out into the corner to get it away, but was unsuccessful. But early Jesters, where on earth is that going? Right over the middle. Doesn't seem like he got that much done. Actually, there's the odd dead engineer. He has picked up a few kills in there, so nice work from Supreme, being very aggressive indeed here at minute 4. One Mantis still alive down here at the bottom, slowly taking down that mass pump, and no units in the area for Silent to deal with them. But the ACUs now in close proximity, and this is very standard, very usual for Sentry Point to get the 2 ACUs facing off against each other in this area here. It's the closest distance between the 2 bases, and then the rest of the map predominantly usually, and I do stress that word usually, fought over with the rest of the units while the ACUs are deadlocked in combat. But at least for the moment, Silent's pulling back. He's happy to grab that mechs and hold on to it very temporarily and then withdraw. Supreme's not going to let him hang on to it for too long. He marches his ACU forward, knocks down that mass pump, and I'm sure promptly build one of his own mass extractors in its place. But bombers out as well now for Supreme, committing to the air game nicely early on, but does run into a handful of archers which pluck him out of the sky. And he didn't go second air, Silent, so he's gone all out land. In the long game, that tactically makes a lot of sense, I guess, on a map as small as this. You think it's very easy for mobile anti-air to give good coverage and make life difficult for planes. Planes can't get around the map so easily to knock down stuff, so the extra land power does make sense. But at the moment, Silent's actually facing superior land forces as this little band of Mantis Supreme's just heading into the southern reaches of his main base. He's got a few defending strikers coming in now. Should be able to knock them aside, but he does lose another mechs in the process, and it is 33 mass to 19 in favor of Supreme. So early game advantage definitely going that way. Silence walled off this top section. Unfortunately, one Mantis just about in range of this mech, so it looks like that's going to be another one that's going to bite the dust. In terms of actual structures, Silence completely relegated to this small portion of the map now. He's trying to expand with some mexes here and there, but life is definitely not easy for him at the moment. One single bomber out, doesn't get another pass on any of these units. There are still a few archers kicking around in this mix of units, and those are the units that Supreme is trying to take out first of all. Wise decision. Nicks one archer off the end, and there's only one left on the edge of that band of troops, but they redirect and go after some engineers, and the bomb drops short. I'm not sure if that was due to micro or just the Relief of the Land playing havoc with the bombers' mechanics in this game, as it always has done. It seems to, it's been massively improved from early FA days, but every now and again you see it causing some issues, and that bomber gets plucked out of the sky by more mobile anti-air. And Silent now hanging in there, 23 mass to 37. Who's doing better on reclaim, I wonder? 754 mass pocketed, slowly climbing for Supreme, and Silent doing a little bit better on 1104. Of course, there's been a lot more combat close to his base, so you would expect that to be a little bit higher. Little engineer down here manages to reinstall a mass extractor on that mass point, but promptly gets run over by a happy little band of Mantis down here, and that mechs also is destroyed in the process. None of these guys wanting to press into the middle. Of course, you've got these civilian neutral eruptors, and so you've also got a seeker in the middle, so you have to go in there with some artillery and take those out. First of all, these guys are much more concerned about hurting their opponent than grabbing hold of those three mechs in the middle. Silent on an upgrade on his comm down there. Supreme also on an upgrade, so both these guys matching those upgrades around about the same time. But in terms of map control, you're looking at around 60, maybe even 65, 70% in favor of Supreme. There's still a few mexes down here which he could make use of if he can really lock this area of the map down. But Mex finally did go down up there, and a little engineer's come forward and just burrowed a little hole in this defensive line up here. He wants the ability to come through at the top should he see fit, and indeed he looks like he's going to make a little push with a couple of units right now just to test the water and see what Silence got at the northern edge of his base. But forward comes Silence ACU. What's he got there? It's looked like a large amount of range on that, so it's probably the gun upgrade. We haven't got the engineering suite. And indeed it is the Zeph amp. There it is, gun upgrade. Does Silent have access to overcharge? Yes, he does, but his power isn't great in terms of how often it's going to regenerate, so he's not going to be able to use it too often. But luckily the quantities of units aren't too large right now. It's become a major problem. Supreme's going to back up slightly with that merry band, and this is allowing Silent to expand a little bit, moving forward with his T1 as well, and he's at least got 4 mexes now behind this army. If you can get some build capacity down here, we can reclaim some control of some of these mass points. That might get him back in the eco game a little bit, but a few units breaking through up at the top as well. They might grab mechs if Silent isn't paying attention. There's a lot of strikers here ready to roll over them at the first opportunity, but Supreme going to move his ACU forward at the same time, and he's actually got the stealth upgrade. You can see that blue haze coming off in their personal stealth gen. That's going to afford him some protection. We'll see what Silent can see. He's got no idea that that comm is coming forward. Does Supreme have access to overcharge? Yes, he does. 14,000 power, tons of energy storage. But now look at this. Another large engagement down at the bottom. Supreme moving forward and plowing into Silent's forces. Silent backing up. Still got 12.5k or around 12k HP on the tank on that comm, so it's not dire straits yet, and he should still have access to overcharge as well. Should be blapping through. Look at that, 5 units bite the dust with one blow. Very nice indeed. But Supreme definitely funneling more reinforcements down that way, but Supreme, having taken a lot of damage, is backing up. Look at that, down to 1200, 1100, 900, needs to continue to retreat, and a very surprise turnaround up here for Silent. Supreme completely underestimated the amount of troops that were stationed up here, and he's, dare say it, he's almost lucky to get out of that one alive. Climbing back up to the 2k mark, looking a little bit healthier now. Silent's going to withdraw, but that was very close, so close I almost missed it. But we have a T2 upgrade for Supreme, and it is an air upgrade, and it goes back to what I'm saying earlier. I don't really like that choice. Yes, I suppose you could go around and harass outlying mass points, but up until now Silent hasn't had a broad reach of economy. He's been cornered into one portion of the map, so why not try and keep him cornered by teching up on the ground game? That's just my personal opinion. That doesn't mean it's right by any stretch of the imagination. You guys have all seen me play, but Silent's turn to get a little bit mobbed now. Another little attack from Supreme, focusing heavily on the comm. He's got this one Corsair in the area as well. Going after Silent's comm, he's down to around 6,000 odd HP and falling. Silent brings in that band of strikers that we saw earlier. That should be enough to tidy things up on the ground. Of course, there is still this air problem he's got, but he has got enough archers involved as well to hopefully dissuade Supreme from pushing any further with that. More Corsairs coming off the conveyor belt. What's going on in terms of tech? We have got a T2 land HQ there for Silent, and he's starting to produce skyboxes first of all, not going for any ground offensive capabilities at the moment with that T2. He needs to defend against the air issues, but that's what I'm saying. He gets a number of skyboxes dotted around this relatively small region of the map, and these Corsairs are going to be pretty useless really in the long game, I think. Silent blapping away, nice overcharge there, takes out whole groups of units, and he's sitting on around 80 kills right now. In terms of how many stars of veterancy we're looking at, 3 stars of veterancy and a max tank of around 15,600 HP on that sucker. Looking a little bit grisly and a tough cookie to crack. But you see what I mean? How light Supreme is looking on the ground now, and he's actually on top in terms of eco. He's winning by 10 mass, and he's 40 power ahead as well, so he shouldn't be looking like he's in any real trouble right now, but he needs more assistance on his comm, that's for certain. Comm on around 5,000 HP still from that earlier attack. A few forward T1 P-gens there getting wiped by some Lobo shells. One point defense doing its job. It's going to encourage Silent to back up slightly. He needs to get his Lobos to take that out. There it goes. Supreme though going to continue to march forward. Where's Silent's ACU? Silent's still down here, and he's still making ground in the south. Did have a little bit of static D put up down here by Supreme, but it wasn't enough to hem them in. And really, Supreme needs to get some T2 ground, and needs to get it quick as far as I'm concerned. Onward moves Silent, knocks down another mechs, and that ties the mass game, and suddenly Silent leaps ahead to 47 to 43 as well. So Silent's now officially winning this game, and that is a tac missile that's going across the field now. What's it going for? It's going for the mechs. It couldn't happen at a more opportune time. Indeed it is. One T2 mechs goes down. That will give Supreme the lead once again, 52 mass to 45. Onward, Silent moves without any real threat at all. He is actually facing off against that Cerberus turret. Nice overcharge into the body of that turret. Knocks it down to around 50% of his HP. And there it goes. There is, of course, still this auto gun, but he's got so many hit points on that nasty little ACU right now. It's really not concerning him. He can do better, a lot worse than to take out that T2 engineer. Yes, he does. Stalls the construction of that Cerberus turret. Corsair flies overhead, still trying to harass the comm, but now there are skyboxers shadowing that commander, so T2 air very ineffectual at the moment unless you can get an outrageous number together. Mongoose moving forward now, and Supreme is going to have to keep his commander here. He's going to have to be brave in the face of what is a nasty looking ground army. Lots of Mongoose in there, lots of strikers, lots of Lobos. He's going to have to continue to micro and continue to overcharge like it's going out of style. He has got a few land units of his own coming to support, but a large open door down here at the bottom potentially for Silent. There is a couple of Cerberus turrets in place and now also an auto gun, so he needs to stay away from that. That's why he's trying to keep to this edge as best he can, but decides not to push it. And it's amazing how this game has turned around. Supreme now looking tied into his corner and turtling up with T2 PD. Silent's the one marauding around the map, being anything but silent right now with that ACU. And finally somebody making a move for the mass in the middle, the reclaim, the mexes. And that is Silent's privilege, since he has effectively reduced Supreme's map control by 50% or so, maybe more. A little bit of posturing going on now by these two. Silent moving in and then moving back. Not going to be able to get any real penetration in there at the moment, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T1 land factories against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 land factories, and of course one of those being a T2 for Silent. There's a lot of extra land production. Yes, he's got the edge in the air, but it's just not going to help him. There are skyboxes dotted around the map, so these interceptors and any potential Corsairs that he can get together are going to be, I would say, useless, but not a great deal better than useless, certainly. There's a lot of mass around here. Supreme could be hoovering up with his comm. He is incidentally still a little bit ahead on eco. He really, really needs to get some tech on the ground and some more land factories. That's the only thing that's cost him in this game so far. Attack missile starts firing once again. What's he going for? He's going for the mexes, I guess, down here at the bottom. And finally we're seeing a few more air facilities being put together by Silent, but as soon as I say it, one of them gets taken down. He wasn't going after the mexes at all, it was the air factories. Supreme moves forward a little bit. Still hasn't got a great deal of HP on that comm. He's got a 2-star on it. Rate of fire seems to be pretty good, so he's got the gun upgrade on there as well. And now these two armies start to merge, and all of these pillars and mongoose at the back here will be nasty. Supreme needs to get in here and overcharge them ASAP. And this HQ is in the middle of an upgrade to T3 right now. Wave of bombers coming over from Silent. And Supreme finds himself once again thin on the ground in forces. Nice overcharge there. Picks up 2 or 3 T2 units in that mix. interceptors come over to try and deal with the bombers. But take an awful lot of anti-air fire. And Supreme once again backing up. Nice overcharge in the middle there, can take out a clump of units, but he doesn't do it. Yes, he does. Oh, only bags 2 in the end. But Silent takes this chance to move up and knock out this other defensive position down here and take another mechs with it. Needs to be careful though, not going to be able to contend with that firepower. 3 Cerberus turrets and an autogun if they get close enough, which I doubt they're going to. They'll be content with just knocking down that position though. But Silent's had enough of this business. He's come to join the party. He's moved his comm back up. And in a one-on-one, Supreme will lose this every single day. There's far more HP on that comm, and both of them have the upgraded guns, so that is going to be a win for Silent. But not only that, of course, there's this horde of T2 and now T3 units emerging. That upgrade complete. We're seeing Titans on the field for Silent, and they're going to be facing off against T1 still for the moment. We're finally getting that first headquarters upgrade from Supreme. That should be done in no time at all. He's got a really decent eco. I mean, it's 53 to 40, fluctuating slightly, but eco still very much in Supreme's favor. Ever since that TAC missile barrage knocked down a bunch of the T2 upgraded mechs in Silent's main base, you can see the reactionary buzzkills that have been thrown together in the middle there to stop that happening anymore. But now T2 and going straight for T3, and I really don't blame him. A whole load of rhinos isn't going to help him now. He starts to face Titans and Percivals, which he's surely going to do. I think it's fair to say he could definitely do with a little bit more build capacity around some of these. I don't know, if you can upgrade enough of these to T2, you might get a decent army together, might be able to turn this around. 21 minutes gone in this one. Still running at -1, I have no idea. That's why I could keep up, I guess. But there's just so many units on the field at the moment for Silent. At least ground units are probably quite similar in unit count. 238 units for Silent, only 161 actually for Supreme, so Silent way ahead on unit count. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Could have 100 engineers. Although, of course, build capacity very vital in this one. Supreme still ahead on eco. How have things changed on the reclaim front? 5.5k banked for Supreme and 12k banked for Silent. Once again, reclaim really making the difference in this one. You can see how much Silent has been able to do with it. He stayed ahead on tech the whole time. Percival's now making their first appearance on the field, and Silent deciding finally to erect a few more static Ds around the place in his main base. Still concerned about that air threat, building some railguns there. It's actually quite nice to see a sentry point with a UEF player that hasn't just ended up in UEF player going T2 engineering suite and plonking triads in this area and creeping them in. Such an atypical tactic. But looking like we might potentially have another little engagement. No major tech down here. I mean, we've got some T2 anti-air, some skyboxers, but it's nothing really that's going to be able to deal with this loyalist that's going to keep its range and just start plowing through this T1. And Silent, well aware that he's outgunned in that position, is probably going to back up. I certainly would, especially with another loyalist turning up on the field. And forward comes Silent. Angry for some vengeance. Going to move forward, try and steal a little bit more field position. 2, 3, 4 Titans, 2 Percivals, lots of Mongoose, Parashield. It's a nasty looking army, and it's advancing on the main base. Supreme trying to throw together some static defense back here behind this shield. Manages to complete one of them. That's going to need a lot of firing time to be bought if they're going to be able to chew through all of the HP in that army, especially with that Parashield. In come the Titans, going straight after this new defensive position, nailing the build capacity first to prevent any more point defense from going online. That one Cerberus turret goes down, that one being built goes down. Shield gen surely is next. Supreme has got to back up, needs to overcharge some of these Titans on the way if he can, but I think he's taken out the Percival, so he's done a very nice job there, and in comes a brick at the perfect time. That should be enough to stem the tide, but it's going to be close, and wise decision actually. Silent cuts north, going to try and cause as much damage to the base as possible rather than go for the kill. I don't think he's got enough to kill the comm with that army, but he's got some more in tow, and he's got all this down here. Trouble is, there's a lot of static D on the bottom side. Top looking very much more vulnerable. Down goes the hydrocarbon. Does that make any real difference power-wise? Not so much. Targets of opportunity mainly going to be these T2 power gens down there, but they're quite deep into the base infrastructure, and there's so much PD down here. And Percival's struggling to break through. Silent feeling emboldened by his work so far, is going to continue to push, and that was a energy storage I think that went down there, and it is indeed. Supreme no longer has any energy storage, he cannot overcharge, and when you've got a Percival bearing down on your comm and Cerberus turrets that are armed only with harsh language, that's not a good situation to be in. And down to 900 hit points, needs to continue to retreat. Another Percival coming in as well, double shot, boom baby, down goes Supreme. 25 minutes, sweet as a nut. Very nicely played, Silent, and nicely played from Supreme. I think his only mistake there was not going T2 land, was going T2 air. I mean, it's much of a muchness really. I'm sure there's plenty of strats where you can go T2 air first and come out victorious on this map. I just think situationally it might have proved a little bit better, but great play from both guys. Hope you enjoyed that, guys, and of course, as always, more to come from me in the future. But in the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.